Welcome to this week's episode of Your Stock Request for the 5th of September. Hi, I'm Michael Gable, Managing Director at Fairmont Equities. Your Stock Request is the weekly video where I take your requests and analyse the share price charts. So this week we have Predus, Cockos, Boss Energy, Weebit Nano and Mineral Resources. So if you have a request, please send it through. Make sure you've signed up to the free newsletter, but my best stock recommendations come out every Tuesday in the Dynamic Investor Report, so make sure you're getting that report. But if you do enjoy these videos, I'd love you to share them on social media or even leave us a review. Our main business is in portfolio management, so if now's the time to get my personal help, then please give me a call, and all the advice here is general only. So I've got the daily chart here of Predus. This is one that we hold for clients, and we featured it in the Dynamic Investor as well. So, it's basically been a good one to buy on the dip because it's still in an uptrend. So we bought the February dip and a few others along the way. Most recently, we had this, we featured it in the report because it had this false break on the downside. So it looked like it broke support only to quickly get back above it. And usually that leads to a move back up the top side. So we've seen that. And now what we're seeing is just a sideways consolidation on top of these previous peaks. So that's a positive sign, and it looks like most likely we're going to see this continue to trend higher. I don't see any warning signs yet that this uptrend is under threat. Cockos, so it had been trending okay for a while, up until a few weeks ago. So we could see that it broke support. We had a few clients holding it, so got on the phone and got them to sell it as soon as it broke support, because that was clearly a major level, and that's not a good sign. So we could see that there's a lot of volume now coming in on the downside. So too early to risk is to the downside. It's too early to be buying this one. We just have to let this one play out for now. Boss Energy, so we've got a fairly decent move down here, especially in the past few weeks, but we could see that it's become, you've got that sort of oversold nature now, and there's actually some bullish divergence. So what I'm looking at is, the RSI bottomed out actually in early August, even though the share price is headed lower. So usually that precedes a bit of a bounce. Moving to the weekly chart. So this is one that we looked at last year in the Dynamic Investor. We had this sort of sideways consolidation, and the upside break was a buying opportunity. So it did go from $3 to $6, but it is sort of back to that sort of consolidation area near that breakout zone. So you might expect a bit of a bounce here. It's a bit early, there's no signs of it yet, but I think, just looking at the daily chart, potentially if you start seeing it gap up, it'd be nice to see it above this August peak, so around 330. So if it could start giving you some, at least a higher high, then you could say, okay, well, that downtrend is broken, and then it's ready to recover. Weebit Nano, just zooming out, so look, it's still in a downtrend. Most recently, interestingly, we had this sort of massive move up here, and then it hit resistance. Well, the following day, a lot of volume on the following day, hit resistance and a lot of selling near there, and now it's fallen all the way back under support. So not a good sign. I suppose odds are that it does continue to trend lower. I mean, if we want it to turn positive, you'd really need to see it, if this does end up being just a little false break on the downside, you'd want to see it rip higher here, and then it could pop to the upside. But I don't see any evidence of that yet. You'd have to say risk is still to the downside. Okay, and Mineral Resources. So we'll start off with a weekly chart. So we could see that there was obviously a bit of support here, and it's come back and initially bounced but broken support. So most recently it's broken support, triggered stop losses and fallen away. Interestingly, it's quite oversold on the weekly RSI. Now if we try to find the last time it was that oversold, I mean COVID didn't get that oversold, going all the way back to 2015 actually, so sort of interesting to see it that oversold on a weekly chart. On the daily chart, also showing bullish divergence, so we could see that this is where the RSI bottomed out, and even though price has gone lower, the RSI hasn't hit those same levels, so that could lend itself to a this could be a bit of capitulation here. We could end up seeing a sharp rally back up, but again, no signs of that yet, but I suppose one to keep an eye on for a sharp reversal. You might get a decent short-term trade out of it. Okay, well that's all for this week. If you have a request, send it through and we'll try to cover it next Thursday.